All the links to the original posts are given in the description. So now let's head straight to the video. My wife told me that I'm not allowed to bring our children to my parents' house. What do I do? We live about 10 minutes from my parents' house. My parents built a home on a large piece of land and had a pool built. Around the pool was a 3-foot fence made of hog wire, not the ideal safety fence for young children. My wife said the children are not allowed there without us there with them, for safety concerns, which I understood. During that time, we made it clear to my parents what our concern was. My mom said she understood and was working on a solution. After a few months, they decided to extend the fence up to 6 feet. Now my wife is telling me that since they refused to install a safe pool fence, our kids aren't allowed there anymore, even with us there. I'm pretty pissed off and conflicted because I saw the 6-foot fence currently installed, and sure, it's not the ideal child-safe pool fence, but it's in my eyes good enough. I know my children would not be able to climb that, and if so, my mom is very attentive to the kids when they are there. This is a big point of friction for my wife, and I am tempted to say fuck it and just bring them anyways, but I'm not trying to push it so far where divorce becomes any kind of option. I blew up on my wife when she brought it up because I'm stressed from recent changes at work, Marine Reserves, and school. I love my wife, but recently she's been very against my family. My sister-in-law decided to get very big into those smut books, to the point where she's sharing some pretty disturbing stuff to social media. So now my wife said we won't go to any family functions if my sil is invited, because she doesn't want our kids around that type of person. Which I get, but I don't want to be the person to have to explain that and tell my parents I won't hang out with the family for the holidays. Recently my mom has been coming to my daughter's soccer games, and my wife just barely acknowledges her. The tensions is insane, and my mom tries talking to my wife, but my wife will be short and hardly ever even look at my mom. I just don't know what to do here and needed to vent. Of course, when I blew up on my wife, she made me out to be the bad guy and about how she just wants the kids to be safe. This just happened and I'm still coming down from being pissed, so sorry if it seems like I'm just rambling. What should I say? Should I just bring my kids anyways? I just want one thing in my life to be normal. And if I can't have a normal relationship with my parents, then I just don't think I'll ever have any sort of a normal life. It's clear that there are some significant issues and tensions within your family, and it's important to approach this situation with sensitivity and open communication. Here are some steps you can consider. Calm down and reflect. Take some time to calm down and reflect on the situation. It's understandable that you're frustrated, but having a rational conversation is more productive than reacting out of anger. Talk to your wife. Have an open and honest conversation with your wife about your concerns and feelings. Listen to her perspective as well. It's important to understand each other's concerns and try to find common ground. Consider the safety issue. Your wife's primary concern seems to be the safety of your children, and her intention is to protect them. Discuss whether there's a compromise that can address her concerns while allowing the children to visit your parents' home. Involve your parents. Since your parents made an effort to extend the pool fence, perhaps they could be part of the conversation. Discuss whether there are further safety measures that could be put in place to ease your wife's worries. Seek mediation. If you and your wife can't come to an agreement on your own, consider seeking the help of a professional mediator or counselor who can assist you in resolving the conflicts and finding a compromise. Reassure your wife. Make an effort to reassure your wife that you understand and share her concern for your children's safety. This might help her feel more secure about the situation. Address the larger family issues. It seems like there are broader family issues at play, such as the situation with your sister-in-law and your wife's discomfort around your family. These issues need to be addressed and resolved as well. Family gatherings. Discuss your concerns about family gatherings and your wife's reluctance to attend them. Communication is key to finding a balance between your family relationships and your wife's comfort. Consider professional help. If the tension within your family continues to escalate, you may want to consider family therapy to address the deeper issues and work toward a resolution. Remember, a successful resolution will likely involve compromise and understanding from all parties involved. It's essential to prioritize the well-being and safety of your children while also maintaining a healthy relationship with your spouse and family. Now let's move on to the second story. What should I do? My husband told me he was not attracted to me after my daughter was born. I am and my husband have been married since 2020 and dating since 2015. He has told me he wasn't attracted to me a lot lately after having our daughter in 2022. We had a big fight a few months ago where we were on the verge of splitting. I told him if he wanted to leave he could, and I was willing to make sure we separate and our rent agreement and each go our own way. He said no, he wanted to work on the marriage. We went from fighting constantly to being able to communicate. Now today he tells me he hasn't been attracted to me, and even after we started over and he said he was attracted to me. He tells me it's like an on and off switch and there are days he does and days he doesn't. I was angry because I had told him I wanted to be happy with someone who genuinely loved and cared for me. He said he would do all I asked after we got back together. I feel this is unfair because I told him what I needed from him and he still treats me the same as before. I know it's tough with a baby, but why lead me on? I'm not an expert in relationships, but I can offer some general advice that might help you in this situation. It's clear that you're going through a difficult and emotionally challenging time. Here are some things to consider. Communication. Open and honest communication is crucial in any relationship. It's positive that you and your husband have started communicating better. Continue to talk about your feelings and concerns with each other. Try to understand his perspective and let him understand yours. Counseling. Considering couples counseling or therapy might be beneficial. A professional can help both of you work through your issues, improve your communication, and address the root causes of your problems. Self-care. It's important for both you and your husband to take care of yourselves individually. Parenthood is stressful, and it's easy to neglect self-care in the process. Take time for your own well-being, both physically and emotionally. Realistic expectations. It's normal for attraction to fluctuate within a long-term relationship, especially when dealing with the added stress of having a child. Keep in mind that attraction can ebb and flow for both partners, and this doesn't necessarily indicate a fundamental problem with the relationship. Reevaluate your priorities. Reconsider what you truly want in a relationship and whether your expectations align with your current situation. Be sure to differentiate between short-term challenges and long-term compatibility. Give it time. It's still relatively early in your marriage, and major life changes like having a child can be overwhelming. Remember that relationships often have their ups and downs, and it takes time to work through difficulties. Seek support. Lean on friends and family for support during this challenging time. Talking to a trusted friend or therapist individually can help you manage your emotions and make informed decisions. Ultimately, the decision to continue or end the marriage should be based on what is best for both you and your husband, as well as your child. If you find that the issues are persistent and detrimental to your well-being, and all efforts to work things out are in vain, it might be worth considering professional advice on how to proceed, including whether a separation or divorce is the best solution for both of you. Now let's move on to the third story. Am I wrong to ask my girlfriend for monetary equality in a relationship? My girlfriend and I were having discussions about how our life are going to be in the event we decided to get married. We have been together for more than a year. I said that I prefer that both of us contribute to the marriage monetarily. It does not have to be 50/50, but I said what is important is that both of us should be expected to contribute to the marriage. I gave an example, which is my parents myself, that they have their own monetary responsibility that they split among themselves for the family, as both of them have their own job. However, my girlfriend argued that it is the responsibilities of the husband to provide solely for the family, even if the wife also have her own job. She said that the wife's money is for herself, and it is up to her whether to contribute or not, and the wife should not be expected to contribute. She explains about every husband should have the provider's mentality. She explained her family does that, as her father is the sole provider. However, her mother is a housewife with no job. She also mentioned that it should be a common sense for the husband to be the sole provider, with no expectation for the wife to be contributing monetarily. If the wife wanted to contribute monetarily, it is up to her. There should be no expectation from the wife. When hearing about my views, she totally disagreed with my view that both husband and wife should contribute to the family. Now, she is really mad with me and said that it is not her fault for her to have her view like that. Almost felt like she is looking down at me at the moment. Right now I'm feeling very confused. Is she mad because I have a very contrasting view with her, or the fact that I will not become what she hoped me to be? The question of monetary equality in a relationship is a complex and sensitive one, and there is no one-size-fits-all answer. It's important to recognize that every relationship is unique, and the dynamics within each partnership can vary greatly. Both you and your girlfriend have differing perspectives based on your family backgrounds and personal beliefs, which is not uncommon. It's crucial to have open and respectful communication about financial expectations in a relationship, especially if you're considering marriage. Here are some considerations for both you and your girlfriend. Individual expectations. It's essential to understand that there's no universal rule that one partner must be the sole provider. Modern relationships often involve both partners working and contributing to the household. However, if one partner has a strong preference for a traditional arrangement, it should be discussed and respected. Financial transparency. Regardless of the chosen arrangement, it's important to have open and transparent discussions about finances. This includes budgeting, savings, and how expenses will be shared. Compromise. Relationships often require compromise. You might find a middle ground between your perspectives, such as setting up joint accounts for shared expenses while maintaining personal accounts for individual spending. Gender roles. Traditional gender roles in relationships are evolving. What's most important is that both partners are comfortable with their roles and that they work together to create a harmonious and satisfying life. Respect. It's crucial that both partners respect each other's views and decisions. Neither perspective is inherently right or wrong. It's about what works for the individuals involved. Discuss the future. As you're discussing marriage, make sure to talk about your long-term goals and how your financial decisions fit into those plans. It's worth noting that financial discussions can be challenging, and differing views may cause tension. However, it's better to address these issues before getting married, as they can become significant sources of conflict if left unaddressed. Ultimately, the key is to have an open and empathetic conversation, trying to understand each other's perspectives and concerns. If you both love and respect each other, you can find a way to navigate this issue that aligns with your mutual goals and values. Now let's move on to the fourth story. I am witnessing cheating in my workplace. My colleague is cheating her husband. Her husband is an acquaintance. Relevant background about me. I have joined my first job in a big tech company, new to the corporate ecosystem. It's been around 6 months here. Recently, I found out my colleague is having an extramarital affair in the workplace. I've met her husband a couple of times and he is a nice and innocent guy. I feel bad for him. I thought of tipping him off about the situation. Then I came across a post in Blind where a similar situation was being discussed. People over there were ridiculing the opus and telling him to mind his own business. This made me wonder if I should let it go and mind my own business or let her husband know. I don't know how to feel about this situation. Please guide me if this is normal in the workplace, and if I should mind my own business as it doesn't concern me. Also, if I let him know about this, what would be the consequences? P.S. I've met her husband a couple of times. My perception of him was formed during those meetups. T.P.S. Apologize for bad grammar. English isn't my first language. T.L. Doctor. I witnessed an affair at my workplace where my colleague was cheating on her husband. I know the husband and he is an innocent and nice guy. I feel bad for him. Confused about how I should feel about the situation and whether should I let this go. Navigating a situation like this can be quite challenging, especially when you're relatively new to the workplace and the corporate environment. Here are some things to consider as you decide how to proceed. Mind your own business. It's generally considered a good practice to stay out of personal matters between colleagues, especially when they don't directly impact your work. An affair is a personal issue, and intervening could lead to unintended consequences and workplace complications. Company policies. Be aware of your company's policies on workplace relationships and conduct. Some companies have strict rules against relationships between employees that could lead to conflicts of interest, while others may not have specific guidelines. Consider the consequences. If you do decide to inform the husband, it's important to consider the potential consequences. It could lead to a messy situation, create drama at work, and even affect your own professional relationships. Anonymous reporting. If you genuinely feel that the husband deserves to know and are concerned about potential repercussions, you might consider an anonymous way to inform him. However, be cautious as this can still lead to complications if the situation is traced back to you. Professionalism. Maintain professionalism in the workplace. Do not gossip or spread rumors about the situation, as this can negatively impact your own reputation. Counseling. Encourage your colleague to consider seeking professional advice or counseling to address the issues in her marriage. It's a more constructive approach compared to meddling in her personal life. Seek guidance. If you're unsure about how to handle the situation, consider talking to a trusted colleague or HR representative for guidance on how to proceed. Cultural context. The cultural context can be important. Different cultures have varying views on relationships, infidelity, and personal boundaries. What may be considered acceptable in one culture could be seen as inappropriate in another. Be sensitive to these nuances. Remember that this is a complex situation, and there is no one-size-fits-all answer. Ultimately, the decision to intervene or not should align with your own values and comfort level. It's essential to maintain a focus on your work and professional growth as you navigate this challenging workplace situation.
If you like the story, hit the like and don't forget to subscribe the channel, and thanks for watching.